Hi, I'm Mike from BlindsOnline.com, and today I'm going to demonstrate for you how to install a Roman style shade on the outside of a window frame. First thing that you're going to want to do is measure your height, okay, based on the height that you've measured from the sill to the top of the shade. In this case, it's going to be 54 inches. We're going to make a little pencil mark right at 54 inches. So we know that that's the very top part of our shade. And we always like to mount our outside mount shades just above the trim if there is any molding, so that we don't destroy the trim and so that the shade sits square so it doesn't hang on an angle. So in order to do that, we're going to need some form of spacer in order for the bracket to come away from the wall so that it's even with the molding, so that the shade isn't recessed behind the molding. So in this case, we're going to try a 1/2 inch spacer, and we're going to mount that very top of the spacer to that little pencil mark that we just made. Oops. Okay, we're going to install the bracket at the very top part of the bracket in line with the pencil mark that we made at 54 inches. Make sure we have a long enough screw that's going to penetrate the drywall, and if everything goes as planned, you'll hit a header which is behind the drywall, which will give you a nice secure mount. Okay, so if you don't feel your screw landing into a piece of wood, then I would suggest that you plug it with some sort of molly or anchor. Okay, in this case we got lucky and we did hit the header. So that's our first bracket. We go on to the next. And we're going to take a measurement, in this case from the top of the molding to where the top of that bracket was. In this case, we're about 2 1/4 inches from the molding to the top of the bracket. Make another little pencil mark at that 2 1/4 inch spot, which I've already done. Take your spacer block, put it up top of the spacer to the top of the pencil mark, and just repeat the process. And again, you want to make sure that your screw is landing in something secure, like wood, which we did, so we're in good shape. Okay, and then we go on to the third bracket. Same thing. I've already marked the spot at the very top of where the very top of the bracket should be. Okay, and if you want to double check that you've done everything correctly, once your brackets are up, just take a level and run it from bracket to bracket. Make sure you're square, you're level. In this case we are, which is perfect. And do it one more time. Everything looks good. And now we're ready to install the shade. So we go over to the shade, and although it may seem silly to some, I would recommend not using any type of sharp objects when unpacking shades, because I've cut enough cords and ripped enough shades for both of us. So always unpack your shade by hand. And this way you won't damage the shade or the strings that are wrapped around the shade. Okay. Remove all packaging materials before you bring the shade up to the window. By hand. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer, but it costs a whole lot less in the long run. Good. Remove this plastic covering just to protecting the fabric. And bring the shade over to the window. Always install your shade from the center of the window. It's going to be the easiest, especially if you're alone. If you have two people, then you can have one person on each end of the shade, but in this case, I'm alone, so we'll start from the center. We'll press the bracket into place. Align the shade, make sure it's even on each side before you snap it in. And just give it a push. Okay. Make sure it's secure. Better it comes down now while you're holding it than when you pull the string you find out that you didn't secure it. So it looks as if we're in good shape. Now we'll give it a test. Okay, this shade happens to have a continuous loop cord. Some shades have individual cords. This is a specialty system.